Alright, students, next up is this week is Lab 6.18, Lab Word Frequencies. Write a program that reads a list of words, then the program outputs those in their frequencies. If the input is a single list of words, then the output is a list, and it's not counting through, it's displaying how many times they showed up, and then attaching that to the count. A little more complicated than you would think on for word frequencies. All right, taking a look at this one. The first thing you're going to do is you need that user input. What's our inputs? Well, we just have one input. There it is as a string. The user inputs a string. Let's see. So next up, we need to count every one of these. So we need to split this string up. So that doesn't change much. We need to create a variable. Uh, Essentially, the user is putting in a sentence. So we'll have our user sentence equals user input dot split on what they did. So what we did here is we took our input and then we stored that in this variable. Well, we took it, we split it, and we stored it in this variable, right? So at this point, this variable is holding the split. So that's your line, and that's your break to be able to count. Now we have to interpret frequencies, and for that you want to essentially make an index to read through. So remember, your for in is to read through, and you're going to create an index of what you just did with the split. All right, so let's go with our for index in. So here, I'm not sure how it showed up in your book. Essentially, what we need to do is return the number of items in the object, and then create a range to those items. So what we do is we len it, and then that'll give us the length of our range, and then, or not the length of the range, but it'll give numbers to the items. Then we take that out, and pass that argument through range, which will give us the length of items. So range len we're gonna len our stored variable because we want to count those splits. All right, so here we are. We're breaking it, we're passing it through to count the range, right? So we broke it into numbers and count those range of those numbers, because we're going to take that and we're going to create a range up here where you see, oh, 2, 2, 2, right? All right, so taking it, I have my one, I have it split, I have it now counted, passed through a range, 1, 2, 2, 1. Now we just have to properly display it. I've talked about numerous videos about format and how to use that. All right, so we have 1, 2. We've set up our format the way they're showing there. So now we just need to tell the code to format. And what do we want to format is what it comes down to. So we need to format two things that are going to go in there. The first thing we're going to stick in there is essentially the name. And remember, we stored everything. We're indexing out of user sentence. So we'll index out of that. Let's call our index. So there's our first one being stored there. And we're just taking out of index what we split up, right? The reason we called index is because here's where we created our loop through reading the user sentence. So the next variable, we need the number, right? We're not going to need the user sentence, which again, this is storing the names. We're going to need the count. So how do we get the count? We created the range. How do we get the count? So user sentence count, and we're going to apply that to the user sentence and close that out. All right, so let's give this a test. Variable 1, variable 2, 1, 2. Your program produced no output, so at the end of mine, for index in range, right? I'm looping through line 4. Oh, look at what I did here. 1 and no close. I closed the user sentence, but I didn't close line 4. All right, now we're going to line 5. I now have an issue, and it's giving me essentially invalid syntax. Oh, because I didn't reference index. All right, index. I spelled it right. Submit for grading. There we go. High number. Yep. Cat, dog. Go whole list there. All right. Hopefully this helps you out this week. Good luck.